Tonight's call comes from a woman who describes multiple encounters that one family had on their farm. Stories of something violent, dark, and massive, from animals being slaughtered to their own home being attacked. She discusses the most famous cryptid in all of American folklore. Tonight, we encounter Bigfoot.
Paranormal Payphone.
Welcome back into Paranormal Payphone, where we always answer after midnight. I am Steve, and Brandon,
Yes.
This is the big one. We finally have the big one. For the first time, we got the big guy make an appearance on the show. I'm talking about Big Daddy Squatch.
Big Daddy Squatch.
Big Daddy
I love
Squatch.
it.
How excited are you for this?
I'm super pumped. We've been talking. This is like the favorite one. I can remember since, being a little kid that Harry and the Hendersons come out. And
Yeah.
I know it's probably not the same type, creature we're encountering. But still, ever since then, man, I've been on board with a good Squatch story.
I don't know, because it seems like the Squatch follows this family in this area pretty closely. It might be a Harry and the
It
Henderson
could be.
situation.
Yeah.
Obviously Harry wasn't quite as aggressive at times, but, maybe these guys were not have that good relationship. It's like that contentious family, remember?
Yeah. I mean, he could have been that way if they didn't let him live inside.
Well, that's true. That's
You
true.
know, let him sit on the couch.
Like, Harry got a lot of leeway. Like, he did
did.
a lot of living
Yeah.
on the inside.
did.
Thinking about it, Harry lived a good life.
He did.
I wish I had that Harry life.
Me too. I wish I was allowed to sit on the couch.
That's right. But of course, we're talking about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the skunk ape, possibly a grass man, also known as a wood booger for you people.
That's one.
So we were looking all up these names for Sasquatch, and wood booger apparently is used in Virginia.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, comment below if you've called the Sasquatch wood booger in your lifetime. The Mongolian monster,
That one's a little off, huh?
that's a little off, especially because it comes from Arizona.
Yeah. Okay.
Which really throws me off.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of indigenous and Native American names. The Yowie
Okay.
for Australia. Just when you thought Australia wasn't dangerous enough,
Yeah.
they also have Sasquatches there. So let's just rewind that. We have a prison colony.
Oh, hey, there's a conspiracy.
That's not conspiracy. It's a prison colony
Okay.
with everything, lizards, spiders, everything meant to kill you, and also Sasquatches. So how do you figure that works out? You've got the Hibagon in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And so this is a worldwide phenomenon.
Now, are these places that, these different ones, are they pretty much built the same, described the same size, or?
They kind of vary a little bit. Some of them claim to be, anywhere from that 7 and 9 foot tall, a few 12-footers out there.
Gosh.
Can you imagine a 12-foot Sasquatch running at you?
I mean, 7 foot, that's enough.
Like, I can't deal with like a 6'5" power forward coming at me, like, let alone
Yeah.
a giant Sasquatch running me down the lane.
Is this Wimby or a Squatch?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't need Nikola Jokic running around down on me, let alone a Sasquatch. But here we are.
I'm glad you butchered that.
Oh, man. Give it to me. Give it to me. Say his
Jokic.
name.
Jokic.
Give me the first name.
Nikola Jokic.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine a 12-foot creature coming at you like this?
It's like a giraffe. I mean,
built completely different, but
completely
yes,
different. I'm talking size-wise.
it's like a giraffe,
Yeah.
except not at all.
And so this continues, right? Dear diary.
I want you to imagine a giraffe. Take away all of the neck length,
Yeah.
give them furry, have them bipedal, and not at all in Africa for some reason. The only place that didn't have one.
Which is surprising because they've got a lot of everything too.
They got a lot of everything, so you
Yeah.
figured that it would be there.
Yeah.
Maybe the lions scared them away,
Or the hyenas.
or the hyenas. Say it again.
Yeah.
All right. So, as we're getting into this, we're talking about the places they do exist.
Yeah.
We got a little conspiracy here.
Oh, what do you have?
So, good old Ross Coulthart has an article out here where he says inside the national parks, he has seen a hidden portal that's being covered up by the U.S. government.
It's interesting, man. There's a lot of conspiracies about like people going missing in these places.
I mean, the national parks are a plethora for conspiracy, whether it's people gone missing, all the David Paulides with the missing 411 stuff. You have all of the serpent mounds throughout. I mean, just the fact that certain areas are dedicated to be national parks, whereas others aren't. There's a lot that goes into this.
I want to know more about this.
You want to know more about
Yeah,
the portal?
what you got?
So he doesn't really talk about where the portal goes.
Oh, okay.
He just says that he's seen it. So the question is, if you had a portal, where would you go?
I could see if I had a portal, this would be the beginning of my villain arc here.
Now,
Except
keep in mind, we are a PG show. So,
Oh, yeah.
let's,
we're keeping it PG, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
am probably going into a bank vault.
100%. Yes.
Starting there. The problem is that you're not invisible when you go through this.
that is part of the problem.
So what are
Yeah.
you dressing as
A
you're
Sasquatch.
going through the
Yeah.
Sasquatch?
100%. You go as a Sasquatch.
No Macho Man Randy Savage?
Well, yeah. Well, you do have the outfit already, so you
do.
could do that. But yeah, I tell my kids all the time that if I ever had powers or anything like that, I would not be the hero of the story.
Yeah.
Like I would 100% be a villain.
Yeah. So where do you head?
So I thought about bank vault, and I like the idea of the bank vault. The problem is we use a lot of debit cards now. I don't know how much cash they have in there, and it might be real suspicious. Me rolling around with $3 million in small change bills. It's like,
Sir.
like
This is a Wendy's, sir.
yeah. Do you accept $46,000 for this car in cash right now?
Yeah.
It might be a little much. We could go Vatican vault. Go to the archives.
That would be a good one. But how much do we want to know?
That is a question, because I think at a certain point there is too much knowledge out there. When it comes to like the Matrix, the red pill, blue pill, I want to know. I just want to eat the steak. Yeah. Like at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? I think we're good, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't need any more. But it does raise a big question: where do these portals go?
Right.
What's on the other side? How'd they get there?
Yep.
Is there anything more than like a simple fence guarding it? Like, is there a building? Like, what is it?
Yeah, and maybe that's how our buddy Mr. Squatch goes without being seen.
It does raise a good question because there is a lot to Sasquatches appearing, disappearing, cloaking themselves. Like there's all sorts of stories out there, whether it be from hikers, hunters, indigenous people that have seen them throughout the years, where they say that light will bend around them at times. So to think that there could be a portal that they're using to transport themselves.
That's so crazy, man.
Could the national park system be based around connecting portals?
It could be. You have free entry now, right?
Well, I don't have the pass, so I don't get the free entry. But but you could just like roam around, and maybe that's why the parks are like randomly over here, randomly over here. There's a lot to the parks. Now, the missing people, the murders, the things that happen in there, I think that's just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes down to it. And this is something that we're probably going to cover throughout the year. So if we ever have anything or you guys have any stories about the national parks, I want to know. I am a national park enthusiast. Like, I wear that dork flag proudly. I love it. I love to go hiking. I love to park next to all the Subarus and go hiking out there. Like, it is a fantastic time. We have so much fun. I'm actually getting ready to go to one with my family in a couple weeks.
Where are you heading?
That's a little too much
Little too
information.
much?
Like I'm
going to the Appalachian Mountains.
Like here, let me talk about all these conspiracies about people going missing, and then give my exact location. Yeah. This is why it's going to be a single person show pretty soon. Like, you're gonna get got. Like you do way too much searching on the Epstein files to not get taken out at one of these things.
You're right.
But no, we're gonna go explore some caves and see how the kids like it, and see if they kind of share my love for hiking through and exploring these. So we're gonna see how it goes.
That's good.
Are you a big hiker?
No.
No? Okay.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I would love to be. I just, you get out there, the bugs and stuff, they bother me.
If you go to the right spot though,
Yeah.
you don't really get those bugs.
Yeah.
You know,
One of my daughters and I, we are like mosquito bait big time.
Yeah.
We step outside, they just eat us alive. So it seems like every time we try to go hike, I've gotten, was it, you get malaria?
well, I don't, but apparently you do.
Yeah. I'm recovering
Yeah.
still.
Maybe that's why there's no Sasquatches in Africa.
Could
The
be.
malaria.
Yeah.
It could be a thing.
We're on to something.
I think there could be something to it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe this call will tell us.
Yep.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Hey, I was going to tell you this story about I got married in 1977 and I moved out to my husband's family farm. And there was one afternoon we were all sitting around the kitchen table, and my husband, his brothers, and his mom and his dad was there. And they got to talking about this story that I'd never experienced anything like that. They said that they were sitting around the table and they were talking, and they said that one night there was a loud noise out at the barn. All the pigs were screaming. They had cows and chickens. Cows was mooing. Chickens was having a fit. And it was dark outside. And so they said, well, they was going to go out and see what it was, what was going on. I heard this awful sound down at the barn. Barn wasn't that far behind the house. And so they got a gun, they went out the back door, and they headed for the barn. And the noise got quieter, not as noisy. Still, the chickens and stuff was throwing a big fit, but they said they went in the front doors of the barn, and when they opened the doors in the back side of the barn, the whole back side of the barn had a giant-sized hole knocked out of it. Well, then they looked over, and the mama pig had her whole side ripped out. And there was a couple of baby pigs that were gone. There was nothing there at that time, but it was something big because it carried off the whole half of the mama sow. And like I said, 2 baby sows. And they were scared to death then. They was even scared to go out the back door of the barn because they didn't know what in the world could have done that. And then time went on, and they said there were different times that each one of them had saw sightings of. They all are just so convinced that it was a Bigfoot because they said that it was tall, and a couple of them said they had seen a tall, hairy, black figure kind of walked and had long arms, but they never found any proof that it was, but they're pretty sure it was a Bigfoot. And the way they said it and the fear they had in their face and stuff when they talk about it, and I've heard them talk about it so many different times, I really believe that they did see it. Then, now, even today, my ex-husband now, his brother still lives there on that farm. And at nighttime, he still will not go outside. So that was a big story, and it was a big thing going on. And that was around, like I said, that was in the around 1977 was when I got married. So the story was told shortly after that.
That was part 1 of this call. There's a lot going on already. What are your thoughts?
There was so much going on with that. So we started out in 1977, family farm. The whole family's there hanging out together. So already we've got the time, we've got the location, we've got everything kind of set. She does a wonderful job of painting this architecture for us.
Great storyteller.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when she got into describing the barn animal sounds. like, you know, like it sounds silly, but like you can really the minute she said it, you can feel what's going on and the chaos that's happening, right?
Yeah, and it's almost like you can feel that fear that's in her voice still to this day telling this story.
100%. Like this is something that has affected this family for a long time, and that's what the show is here for. You can get that story out, connect with some other people that have similar things, because right now I bet you that family, a lot of those people feel like they're crazy because no one else has seen this.
Yeah, and they probably don't talk about it a lot. I even think she mentioned that it's hard for them to tell the stories.
100% it's going to let hard. Like if this happened to me, I think there's a good chance that I would take it to my grave if I didn't have the Paranormal Payphone to let know. But so the noise came down. They go out there. There's a giant hole in the back of the barn. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know, man. So trying to wrap my head around it, I'm like, is this a bear getting in there? But I think if it was a bear, I'm just trying to rationalize it first. That if the bear was in there eating on the pig, it's probably not stopping when you come in. It's probably going to defend it, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that doesn't want to be seen. So I think bear, gone.
Yeah, well, and that's a kind of a common story with a lot of hunters. They talk about if they kill an elk or a deer or something like that, they have to keep it up high because if the bear can get to it, the bear claims it, and then you just have to just let it go from there. Now, one thing we didn't consider is that it could have possibly been the Kool-Aid man that made its way through.
Harry Kool-Aid man.
Well, you know, because here's the thing. You know, they said there was a loud commotion, a loud crash. It could have been an, oh, yeah. You know.
It's your first impression. It's great.
You know, the 70s was a big time for Kool-Aid. He was out, sowing his oats. But no, so either the Bigfoot or the Kool-Aid man smashed through this back wall and ripped the pig apart and left it there.
Yeah, and took a couple of the babies.
Yeah, that's the weird.
That's so weird.
I felt so bad for think about the remaining is just like, what do I do now?
Just snack for the road.
You know, Babe is there just like blah, blah, blah. What do I do? He's
great.
just stuck there, but they see this big, tall, black, hairy figure running.
Yeah. So that was the second part of the story. So it's like she actually saw this thing.
Well, they say she talks about in the first part the fact that they've seen this throughout the years, and a lot of people have seen it is like this tall, black, hairy figure roaming around there. And so when you look up some of the Sasquatch descriptions and some of the things about different Bigfoot sightings, it's very conducive to what people are seeing. You know, there is a little bit of debate between like the black and brown, kind of like bears, as well as like a lot of like the migratory patterns of them and like the hostility of them. And I will say, southern squatches seem to be a little tough.
Yeah, they seem to be a little bit more aggressive. I had a buddy who traps animals around here and releases them, and he was telling me, he grew up in the area, he said there was something called the Cars Creek Critter as well.
Okay.
But every bit of little research that I did, that was like maybe a giant beaver. So, so I don't know that this is giant beaver.
Now, before we get too deep into the Sasquatch talk, let's round about this beaver. How big of a beaver is this?
It's pretty big.
Like,
I don't know.
What does that mean?
I did
like,
very little research.
So, like, are we talking like a Narnia level beaver, or is this like stop my hands?
Yeah,
You think probably bigger than that? Like, so we're talking about a 4. Let's see, this is guy measurement. So this is probably about a 12-foot beaver.
Yeah, 12 foot. I was going to go 8, but you're probably more accurate in your measurements there.
So that's wild to think, because that is something that we hear with a lot of the old, like, if you subscribe to the prehistoric animal thing where you have like giant sloths and things like that. So there could be a giant beaver still floating around.
Yeah, but this doesn't sound like a beaver.
It does not sound like the beaver. And you would definitely like see the tail flapping away. Like,
and you'd probably see it chewing through the wall too. It's probably the side of the barn.
Yeah.
Just ripped completely off.
That's one thing in my few experiences with beavers in my life. Like, you can usually tell when they're around because they're building something. They got a dam going on. This Sasquatch did not look like he was much into carpentry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not at
he
all.
was not in the trades.
Yeah. Not
So-
at all.
All right, let's jump into the next part of this call.
All right. Let's do it.
Around that same year time, up the road from us, where we lived at the end of the road in a mobile home that we had moved in, a new mobile home in 1977, 14 by 70 mobile home, and we had set it up, and it was set up on blocks. Well, I was sitting up the road. The neighbor up the road had an experience. He was like 10 or 12, and he was playing in the backyard of their home, and he was playing next to a barbed wire fence. It was a 5-string barbed wire fence, and it's big barbed wire fence. It was tall. And it was kind of in a low dip in the bottom next to some woods. And he was down there playing next to that fence, just with some little toys and digging in the dirt and this and that. And all of a sudden, he told this story. The child did. He was digging and said all of a sudden he felt something. And he felt like something was watching him. And he said that he looked up, and when he raised his head up, he says, and he swore, it was tall and big, and it was hairy, and he was looking down at him and had his arms leaning, pushing down on that top string of that barbed wire fence, standing right there over him. He said he started taking his feet and pushing himself back up away from the fence. And as soon as he could get himself up off the ground, he took off running, and he ran up to the house and went into his sister's. His sister lived in a home right beside his mom and dad. And he ran in her house, and he was crying, and he was shaking, tore all pieces. And he couldn't hardly talk for a few minutes. She kept saying, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And when he finally was able to tell her what he had saw, they just got real tore up about it. So her husband took the gun, went out of the house, and went halfway down the yard and looked around, and he never saw anything. But this kid, he literally was so tore up about it that it affected him the rest of his life, because he was never wanted to go in the woods by himself ever again. And he was very leery about what was going to happen. So it's something that he said that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And he tell the story to people, but they didn't believe him because they said there wasn't no such thing. But he says they don't know what they're talking about. And he says because if they actually saw it, they would never tell him that they didn't believe him.
Part 2 of the story. Still just as intense.
Still just as intense.
Yeah.
So, first off, the trailer. 70-footer feels like a big trailer.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with it to know, but it feels like that was a decent-sized trailer.
It's like the Taj Mahal of trailers.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it could have been.
Could have been.
You know?
Sounds huge.
So we have the 12-year-old boy
Yeah.
who is out playing next to the barbed wire fence, as you do in parts of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he has the creature reaching over the fence towards him.
That's insane. I don't know if, and it sounds like it scarred this kid for life.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, still terrified to go up there. Won't go up on this property.
Well, as it should.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
let's
I
think
agree.
about this. Like, you're a 12-year-old boy, so you were probably about 6'2" then. Yeah. You know, but you're sitting there, like, what's your reaction when you see this thing coming at you?
Again, this seems to be a growing theme. I die.
Yeah.
I don't know if it didn't seem like this thing was trying to hurt him. It was just watching him.
Listen, you're not helping your case against these people who are going to come after you for all your Epstein talk. They're like, all right, we'll get Brandon because the first thing he's going to do is roll over.
Roll over and play dead.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
freeze up.
Huge possum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like it's something that scarred him, and it seemed like something that bothered him to this day. I know that if something came at me like that, it would freak me out.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I still remember this day, the area I grew up in had a lot of coyotes and wolves in it and stuff. And I remember leaving for work one morning, and I opened the door, and there was a wolf in our front yard. And I walked back inside. I called my boss, and I said, I'm not coming in today. I got a wolf in the yard. And he goes, you're either telling the truth, or that's the dumbest lie I've ever heard. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, so I just think like that is a rational animal to see.
Yeah.
And I remember it vividly.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine seeing this thing coming over a barbed wire fence at me.
Yeah, just looking down at you, pushing the wire down, looking. It's like, okay, get up and go, kid, or you're mine.
Yeah, 100%. But we do have a lot of stories throughout like the missing 401 and things like that, where the Sasquatches are kind of little kids and are like almost intrigued by them. So I wonder, like, if it was aggressive or is this a hairy? Is this a hairy situation where he's like, hey, bud?
It kind of sounds like that.
You know?
It's like he's just wanting a friend.
Yeah, I like the way you look at the bright side of people.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, hey, come on, buddy, let's go hang out.
Let's go hang out. Let's go climb a tree.
Yeah. I'm working on these post moves. Let me show you what I got, you know? So that's interesting. But what's going to happen is here we set the stage already for the last part of the story. Because we heard about the trailer. We heard about all of the good stuff that's going on with that and kind of the layout of the land. So let's get into this third part.
Let's do it.
And then, this was a couple of years after I lived there, and we still hadn't tied our trailer down. You know, it was still sitting on concrete blocks. And my husband worked late at night, and this is on the same farm. And he was gone, and I was sitting watching TV. And when he was gone, I usually closed all my blinds and curtains and stuff because, you know, I just, after hearing all the stories they heard and all that they told and all that kind of stuff, I didn't really want to, you know, look out my window and see something I didn't want to see, but I didn't really think I ever would, really. So, anyway, I was just sitting there and watching TV, and I heard this like a scraping noise a little bit. It was like a scratching noise. I thought, what was that noise? And I started to get up out of the chair, and all of a sudden, something, which I said something, hit the side of my trailer, and it actually bounced the trailer where my pictures and stuff on the wall bounced away from the wall, like, and then the trailer actually moved 1 inch over on the blocks because I didn't go outside because I was so scared. It scared me so bad that my father-in-law had gave me a gun, a pistol for security, and I had it in the top of the closet back in the bedroom, and it was, of course, stayed loaded all the time. And I went back there and got that gun. I was able to get back there and get the gun. And I came back out and I walked in where the kitchen meets the living room. I just stepped inside that doorway. And I'm telling you, I was so scared that my hand was shaking so bad that the gun went off. And when the gun went off, we never could find where that bullet went. So, years later, when we moved, that bullet was lodged in the bottom of the leg on our TV. We finally found it. That's like 10 years later. But getting back to the story, the next morning, I couldn't sleep. That was about 2 o'clock in the morning. So the next morning, when it got to be about 7 o'clock, I called down to my father-in-law, which they lived right down the road. And I said, can you come up here? I said, something hit my trailer last night, and it actually bounced, pushed, like, it was almost like pushed the trailer over like you rocked something. And I said, and I don't know what it was, and I said, I'm really scared to even go outside this morning. He said, I'll come up there. So my father-in-law come up there, and he said, he came to the door, and I said, hey, and he says, are you okay? And I said, well, I am now. And he said, well, he said, let's go around here. He said, what, tell me what happened. I told him. And so we went around the back of the trailer, and there was this big, huge, it's almost like a 5x5, like just dent on that side of the back side of the trailer, exactly where I had heard the noise hit the trailer. And he said, whoa. I said, what in the world? And he said, well, did you throw out any scraps last night or the night before? And I said, well, I said, I've been throwing out scraps out back right down here, because right behind my house was the wooded area. I said, I always throw my scraps out right down there. And he said, well, did you throw any out last night? And I said, no. I said, as a matter of fact, I didn't throw any out last night. I didn't have any. And he said, well, that's what you did. You pissed him off. I said, what? I said, pissed who off? He said, that was your Bigfoot. And I said, no. And he said, yeah. He said, that's probably what did this. That's the same one that punched a hole through the barn and took the side of the sow out. And I nearly died. I was scared. The whole rest of the time I lived there was probably about, well, we got out of that trailer about 2 years after that. We built a house, moved in it, because I was terrified all the time. Because if something that powerful can push a 14 by 70 wide mobile home and bounce it to the point where it moves an inch off the blocks, it had to be something pretty strong and pretty big. So in my mind, I do believe that it was a Bigfoot. I really do. And then I got to reading if there was any other information about a Bigfoot or something like that. And I found an article to where around the same year, about 1979, I think it was, there was a sighting of people actually, other people had actually seen this Bigfoot. And we're going to send you, I'm going to send you this, where we found this on the internet, where it reads that it actually happened around that time frame. So I do believe back in the 1970s and the early 80s that in our area that we live in Robertson County, that there were actually Bigfoots there. I don't know if they're still here now, but then they were. And let me tell you, every bit of it's 100% true.
The one thing I took away from this is if you're feeding a Bigfoot, continue feeding it.
Yeah.
Don't make this thing mad. Holy moly. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's on the family for not telling her.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, that would be my first question was like, hey, they're like, oh, no, you just made the Bigfoot mad. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Was someone going to tell me about this Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Was someone going to let me know that these scraps I've been throwing out there, like, maybe keep doing it.
It should be a daily chore, apparently.
What do you think the Bigfoot liked? Like, what do you think? Like, she was making. He's like, all right, here it is. Like,
How many scraps do we have though that we're throwing out? I don't know about you, but I tend to eat leftovers.
well, and that's the problem with having little kids is I've eaten more half cupcakes in my lifetime than I would ever care to admit.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, what am I going to do? Throw this thing out, But I'm thinking about them.
Yeah,
They could feed a Sasquatch. Easy.
for sure.
Yeah. I just wonder if he's at the side of the woods like, chicken and dumplings again. Like, come on.
Complaining.
Like,
I don't want this fried chicken.
yeah. Is this store brand mac and cheese? Like, what are we doing? Come on.
Yeah,
But all right, so we have the trailer. It's not tied down.
not tied down.
It's still on the blocks, right? And something hit it
Yep.
and moved it at least an inch on the block.
That's a huge impact.
That's a huge impact. So this goes back to our first portion here where we talk about going through the back of the barn.
Yeah,
Because to get a sow out, to get all that stuff through, that wasn't a small hole. That was a huge hole that went through there, right? So now we have something that's hitting the trailer and moving it
yeah.
using that kind of force. Happened about 2 a.m. Prime squatch time.
Yeah.
So next she has the gun.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least she got the gun.
She got the gun out. And a lot of the other stories we get and some of the things we've heard, people are just pretty nonchalant about, like, let's just go ahead and fight this demon here real quick without turning the lights on. She's like, something hit the trailer. I'm strapped up. Let's go get
got my
this.
Glock, yeah.
Let's go handle some business. Unfortunately, she hit the TV.
He didn't know where the bullet went.
But this just lets you know what kind of time it is now.
Yeah.
Because it had to be an older TV. Because if I even breathe on my TV right now, it's dead pixels and shattered.
yeah.
So, like, this is like a prime TV.
This thing weighed 300 or 400 pounds.
Think about it. The bullet hit the leg of the TV and stayed lodged in
Yeah.
there. That may be the craziest part of this whole story is like that is a super TV.
I'm just glad no one else was in there with her.
You know what? I changed my mind. I want my portal to take me to that TV. That is clearly the best piece of furniture in the entire world. But she's throwing these scraps out, feeding the Sasquatch. She didn't throw it out. Sasquatch is mad, gonna let her know about it.
Oh, yeah.
They go out and it's like a 5x5 den, 5 foot by 5 foot den. That is insane.
It's huge.
Because trailer, yes, it's a home, it's structure.
Yep.
You shouldn't be in them during tornadoes. Should probably tie them down. But it's still a home.
Yeah.
Like, it is still a facade for living. And to put that kind of dent in it, think about the force that had to take.
And moving it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you could probably hit it with a car.
100%.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like that, so.
I don't know that I can move a Focus right now, let alone an entire trailer.
Just by hitting it, because, hey, you didn't feed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a little hangry
All the time.
all
the time, yeah. Trying to do this fasting thing every now and then. I can't do
okay.
it.
What's your fasting schedule?
Well, intermittent fasting, that's not too bad. You just skip breakfast, But if I try to do like a
No. Do you do like an 8 and 16? Like, what's your
Well, I'll do like 17-7.
17 and 7?
Is that math? Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right.
But, I might try to do like a 36 or 48 hour,
Okay.
and I give in about hour 12. So it's like, I got too much going on. I got to have some food,
Hold on. So you say that you do you do a 17-hour intermittent fast.
Yep.
But when you I'm going to fast for 48 hours, you give up 12 hours.
Yeah. It's just so daunting. You're like, oh, man, I can't do this for 2 more days,
You don't even go the length of your intermittent fast
No.
before you're like, you know what? I'm out.
It just makes me mad.
It's
I'm
just-
sitting there and I'm like, oh man, I can have some bone broth this evening, And then it's like, no, what do you got in there?
It just goes to that rollover thing. You're just like, you know what?
I
I'm
give
out.
up apparently.
Yeah.
Real easy.
So he's going through, he's hitting this thing,
Yeah.
getting a little hangry.
Yeah.
looking for those chicken and dumpling scraps. And it moves it. Now, what's interesting is she calls out, her uncle, the uncle or whatever, to come out, or the brother-in-law. And when he comes out, he looks at it and he's not surprised at all.
Not at all.
Like, this is just a thing. This is just a known thing in this family. And it ties back to that very beginning. You got to think this, since 1977, this thing has been a part of this family. Like, they've lived with it daily and, didn't name it. I think that was a missed opportunity.
We didn't get that, yeah.
They got a wood booger just running around, not naming it. Like, how are you going to go about doing that?
Name. That's the best name.
The next time I go to Virginia, excuse me, sir, you have any experience with the wood booger?
Yeah. If you have an experience with a wood booger, give us a call. Oh, Lordy.
But it's ripping pigs apart. Chickens are going crazy. He's going after 12-year-old boys. He's looking for a little bit of dinner.
Yeah.
It seems like this is a Sasquatch that had every intention on living with his family.
100%. Who knows? He still could be there.
He's probably still there.
Yeah.
How old do you think they get?
It's got to be old, man.
What are you thinking? Like
800-900?
800-900?
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever seen a dead squatch?
I've never seen a dead squatch. You ever seen a baby squatch?
Never seen a baby squatch.
See, they could be super old.
Yeah.
They could just be traveling through portals.
Yeah. They like to migrate, don't they?
So there's a debate there, right? So there is, like, they say that they migrate down this trail, and the Pacific Northwest has a very certain migratory path that they say that they follow, but could just be portals.
Could be.
I know one thing, that if I had a portal, I'd go hang out with a Squatch, I think.
It'd be a good time. Or not.
Or not.
It could turn out really bad. You might not get hairy.
That's true. I might not get the friendly Squatch.
Could you imagine hanging out with a Squatch family?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
What do you do?
I think you go and maybe clearly you get a little bit of dinner.
Yeah.
Go hang out, play with the kids.
No.
It seems like a good life. They're like, hey, hang out here for a minute. They're going to have some scraps. We're going to go get some dinner, Watch out, that lady's going to shoot. She's got a gun.
Yeah, she's got a gun.
Just
watch this one.
Yeah, watch this one.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they go down a little path, like they got a little cycle they run, little circuit they're doing. I think it's good.
Jump in and out. Get breakfast here.
Yeah.
Lunch here, dinner there.
Yeah. No, it'd be like hitting up a Starbucks in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe hitting a little McDonald's.
Closing the night off at Cracker Barrel.
Little meet and three action.
Little meet and three, yeah.
I tell you one thing, if you guys have experience with a Sasquatch, let us know. Hit us up. If you've ever seen the wood booger, let me know. If you ever seen the Yowsie in Australia, let me know. The Mongolian mountain man, tell us about it. Because these stories are going to be what really connects us and what kind of opens this up. This family dealt with this Sasquatch every day since 1977. Maybe you've been doing it the same.
Yeah.
It's time to let us know.
So, until next time, who are you going to call?
Paranormal Payphone.